Resentment is one of the most corrosive emotions in human relationships. It rarely announces itself directly. Instead, it hides in small gestures, subtle tones of voice, or moments of silence that feel heavier than words. When resentment comes from acquaintances, it is easier to dismiss. But when it comes from those close to us, family members, friends, partners, colleagues, it strikes deeper, because our sense of safety is at stake. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Resentment is often part of the unconscious shadow. A hidden cluster of jealousy, disappointment, and unmet needs. The challenge is to recognize when someone close to us is carrying this hidden hostility, and to respond with wisdom rather than blind reaction. In this essay, we will explore 8 subtle signs that someone close to you secretly resents you, grounded in both psychology and real life examples. For each sign, we will look at its psychological root, the impact on your well-being, and the deeper spiritual lesson it may hold. 1. The disguised compliment, praise that cuts. On the surface, they compliment you, "Wow, you bought a new car. Must be nice to have so much money lying around." It looks like praise, but the undertone is sharp. Psychological root, resentment often cloaks itself in sarcasm or backhanded compliments. Jung described this as the shadow projection. People disown their own envy and project it onto others. Instead of admitting jealousy, they lace their praise with bitterness. Impact, repeated exposure makes you question your own success. You may begin to downplay your achievements to avoid their subtle stabs. Response, recognize the compliment for what it is, not about you, but about their inner wound. Responding with defensiveness fuels the tension. Instead, hold your ground calmly. Sometimes silence is more powerful than engagement. 2. The withholding of joy, cold reactions to your success. You share good news, expecting happiness. Instead, their face tightens, or they quickly change the subject. Psychological root. True resentment reveals itself when another's joy feels like a threat. In Jungian terms, the person may be caught in comparison, measuring their worth against yours, and finding themselves lacking. Impact. The absence of celebration slowly erodes your bond. You may feel unsupported and question whether your success creates isolation instead of closeness. Response. Notice who genuinely rejoices with you. The philosopher Seneca advised, "He who envies others does not enjoy his own." Their reaction reflects their struggle, not your worth. Let this awareness free you from guilt about your own happiness. 3. The subtle withdrawal, emotional distance without explanation. They stop sharing openly. Conversations grow shallow. Their presence feels physically near but emotionally absent. Psychological root. Resentment festers when unspoken conflicts remain unresolved. Silence becomes a defense mechanism, a way to avoid confronting feelings directly. Jung observed that what we avoid does not vanish, it grows in the dark. Impact. You may start questioning what you did wrong. But often, it is not your action, but their inability to process their own feelings. Response. Approach gently. Ask if something is bothering them, but do not force disclosure. Protect your own peace. Recognize when their withdrawal is about their inner battle, not your inadequacy. 4. The excessive criticism, finding flaws in everything you do. Nothing you do seems good enough. They nitpick, correct, or highlight your mistakes, often in front of others. Psychological root. Criticism is resentment's favorite disguise. Jung noted that what we criticize in others often mirrors what we reject in ourselves. Their judgment may reflect their unhealed wounds or failures projected onto you. Impact. This drains your energy and chips away at self-esteem. In close relationships, constant criticism can feel like emotional erosion. Response. Distinguish between constructive feedback and resentment-driven critique. Where there is no goodwill, correction is not for your growth but for their release of hostility. Set boundaries, accept useful advice, release the rest. 5. The hidden competition. Every conversation turns into a contest. You share a story, they counter with a bigger one. You achieve something, they must top it. Psychological root. Resentment thrives in comparison. Hidden competition is a sign of insecurity. Instead of celebrating your path, they view life as a zero-sum game. Your win means their loss. Jung called this identification with the persona. Living in masks, unable to tolerate vulnerability. Impact. This dynamic breeds exhaustion. Relationships feel like battlefields instead of safe spaces. Response. Do not play the game. When you refuse to compete, you break the cycle. Center yourself in your own values. True relationships are not arenas for dominance, but sanctuaries of growth. 6. The quiet sabotage, subtle acts that undermine you. They forget to pass along important information. They arrive late when you need them. They minimize your work in front of others. Psychological root. Sabotage is resentment externalized. Instead of confronting feelings directly, the person expresses hostility through passive aggression. Jung noted that repressed emotions often emerge in disguised, indirect behaviors. Impact. Sabotage erodes trust, the foundation of any relationship. Over time, you feel unsafe, uncertain whether support is genuine. Response. Pay attention to patterns. Once is accident, twice is coincidence, thrice is resentment. Protect your work and well-being. Distance, when necessary, is not cruelty, it is self-respect. 7. The imitation turned hostility, when admiration becomes envy. At first, they copy your style, your ideas, your habits. But admiration turns bitter, they accuse you of arrogance or claim your success is undeserved. Psychological root. Imitation often masks envy. Jung saw this as projection of the idealized self. They desire what you embody, but instead of integrating it, they resent you for reflecting it back to them. Impact. This dynamic can feel confusing, once flattering, now hostile. Their identity struggle spills into your bond. Response. Do not take ownership of their confusion. You cannot shrink yourself to ease their discomfort. Hold compassion, but also clarity. Their resentment is the shadow of their admiration. 8. The unspoken hostility, energy that speaks louder than words. Sometimes, no words are needed. You feel it. A heaviness in their presence, a sharpness in their gaze, an atmosphere charged with unspoken hostility. Psychological root. Resentment, unexpressed, leaks through body language, tone, and silence. Jung often emphasized the unconscious communication between people. What is not said may be more truthful than words. Impact. Living under this energy is draining. The nervous system senses danger even when nothing is said. You feel on edge, doubting your intuition. Response. Trust your intuition. Do not gaslight yourself into ignoring it. Awareness is protection. Where hostility remains unspoken yet constant, sometimes the most spiritual act is distance. The deeper spiritual lesson. Why does it matter to see these signs? Not to live in paranoia, but to awaken. Relationships are mirrors. The resentment of others teaches us about hidden shadows in human nature. Envy, insecurity, projection. But it also teaches us about boundaries, self-respect, and compassion without self-betrayal. Carl Jung believed the shadow is not to be destroyed, but integrated. This means recognizing resentment without demonizing it. The person who resents you is revealing their own wound. Your task is not to heal them, but to protect yourself, and to learn how unseen forces shape human bonds. The Stoics, too, remind us, we cannot control others' emotions, only our response. Epictetus wrote, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." To sense resentment, to see it clearly, and to remain centered. This is both a psychological skill and a spiritual practice. Conclusion: choosing light over shadow. Resentment in close relationships is painful because it betrays trust. Yet, recognizing its signs frees you from confusion. You see clearly, the disguised compliment. The withheld joy, the subtle withdrawal. The constant criticism. The hidden competition, the quiet sabotage. The twisted imitation, the unspoken hostility. These are not random acts, but expressions of the shadow. By naming them, you step out of denial. By setting boundaries, you protect your inner peace. By reflecting with wisdom, you grow stronger in compassion and clarity. Ultimately, resentment reveals less about you and more about them. Your role is not to absorb it, but to live authentically despite it. As Jung reminded us, making the unconscious conscious is the path to freedom.